please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, as we gather today to do the county business, we give you great thanks, beneficial, grateful, for the kindness that you make all of our county. As we go about the county business today, bless us, guide us, keep us in your thoughts.
Amen. Thank you, Larry. Not only are the farmers happy, but most of the guys that are NFL fans are happy because football season's starting. And I'll bet there are a whole lot of moms that are happy that school started it. Would that be safe? All right.
Yeah, and KU has a better record than Clemson.
KU's off to a rolling start. Okay, on with business. I would entertain a motion to approve a consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry? Oh,
Oh, on the
okay.
loan?
We needed to pull that.
We need to pull the
Let's
accounts payable off.
backtrack. Let's backtrack in the record, and I need a motion to pull that $125,000 payment, right? Is that? Yeah. So would somebody offer that motion?
I don't know what the payment is right off of the motion.
I'll
I
move.
do. I'll make a
Oh,
motion,
it's on that?
Mr. Chairman.
With
And
regard to
I'll second Dave. Clifford second.
Okay, we have a motion.
Caius, is that how you pronounce it? Oh,
I can't.
Oikos?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. But
Okay.
we have a motion second to pull that from the consent agenda. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Now, let's enter into that discussion, and then we'll go to the consent agenda motion. Robert, lead us off here a little bit.
You do have an agreement that was signed back in June of this year, June 29th, and it's a loan agreement for $125,000 to a development company. Within the terms of the agreement, there is a, let's see, it's in D, 2D in the agreement references a lien on the property. The property's not owned by the developer at this point in time, so we can't place a lien on that. So at this point in time, we would need the commission's consideration on how you want to move forward on that. Once again, this agreement was signed off in late June.
I see in our audience today, Steve, I think, hiding around here behind from Finney County Economic Development, and also Mr. Kreitzer, one of our appointees to their board. When that was presented to us, gentlemen, I at least was under the understanding that the person asking for the loan had title to property. That was what was intended to be conveyed. Well, we can't hardly put a lien on something that he doesn't own.
It's my understanding that when the presentation was made, it was with clear knowledge that he would not have title of the property until he closed on his construction loan. This loan is a bridge to get from June to the end of November, which should be the latest date he'll get his construction loan. So he'll pay it back as soon as he gets his construction loan.
So
But
then why?
he's never,
Well, I respectfully disagree a little bit, Steve, because the understanding I had was different, and I believe probably a majority of the board tend to believe the view that I'm sharing, that we would have a lien against a piece of property, and then he would, when he closed with the development deal, the developers thing with with neighborhood development, he could get his money from the bank and then he'd come and pay us back. So I'm going to ask for a little input here from fellow board members because I may have misunderstood what was taking place, but I don't think so.
Well, Mr. Chairman, my memory's not that good. I don't remember the particulars. I just remember him talking about the loan for the development. But as far as the lien, I don't know. I guess that's, I guess maybe the economic development folks, if they want to back the loan, we can do this.
Yeah, I understood it was secured by the property.
No, so we have a decision to make. Do we want to make a loan that's not secured? That's essentially what's being asked. To me, that sets a poor precedent. Or do we want to say, no, thank you, we're not able to make that loan? That puts their project in jeopardy. So we did have some information from the developer, and that's a 5013C project. They're kind of low budget operation too, but we have a decision to make.
I've got an email from Lana to Robert and Linda dated June 9th. It says it won't be possible to secure a mortgage on the property because closing won't take place until November. So it's been out there for a while. Now, whether that predated
Yeah, we all,
the agreement, I don't know.
I was aware of that email of it, so. Bob?
Hearing your comment in terms of the quote-unquote economic development, if you will, guaranteeing that if, we believe it's just absolutely imperative. We keep putting off housing and childcare for all kinds of reasons, and we do have money in our project development budget that could bridge this gap should it fail. And we have balances based on our PPP money, et cetera, that if it failed, we would put those dollars forward to compensate the county for this, should it go wrong. But we really judge that the county should be a part of it, and if this would make the decision easier, we would pledge the dollars that we have in our budget for special projects toward this.
Appreciate that. Thanks. Anyone else? You're being very quiet down here on this end. You have a-
Well, I didn't know anything about this until just a few minutes ago, I guess, and so it kind of caught me off guard that we even had a question about it, and so I'm still giving it thought. I appreciate what Bob just offered to do, and I think that's probably our workaround in order to be able to get this accomplished, and that clause comes out of this agreement, and a substitute clause goes in.
I agree with Commissioner Pishney. I think we need to move ahead to get some housing going. And if it takes a rewrite, I'd be willing to support it.
Well, then the floor is open, gentlemen, for a motion to handle this issue.
Before I make that motion, Mr. Chairman, I will comment, agree that we do need to get behind this housing project, but it seems kind of odd that a multi-million-dollar project that $125,000 isn't available from the developer. Mr. Chairman, I move we can go ahead and authorize the guarantee or the loan of $125,000 subject to the rewrite of paragraph D.
And before, go ahead, if somebody else have a second. Now, in discussion, a check's been drawn some time ago, and it was in our business for the day. So upon this passage, that check can go right out. So, Robert, do you have anything to offer before we take a motion?
I think it's appropriate to go ahead and make this agreement then a three-party agreement that will include economic development, securing that loan as well, and we'll hold that a check and get everything executed on that, pending the rewrite on this short agreement.
Okay,
That seem reasonable?
is that agreeable, Bob? That's fine. Okay, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed, nay, and I'm going to say nay. Motion carried, 4-1. Okay, now I'd entertain a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 That passes. Our regular agenda, any changes, amendments? Or does it,
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the regular agenda.
okay? Second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and second to approve the agenda as published. All those in favor say aye.
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 That passes. All right, public comment time. It's just a minute, Alicia. This is an opportunity for anybody in the audience who wants to speak to a matter not on the agenda to step forward, and we will be happy to listen. You just getting comfortable, Bob, or are you getting ready to stand? No public comment? Okay, we'll move right along into the Planning Commission appointment, and Alicia, the floor is yours.
Morning. Today I have before you a board reappointment. It has seemed to slip through the cracks that Mr. Hitt's term expired December 31st of 2020.
He's been operating without authority, hasn't he?
We discussed it with Mr. Hitz, and he has expressed interest in serving again. This would be a 3-year term that would set to expire December 31st of 2023. And I know at this time we haven't had any new interest for Planning Commission as far as the county. So your alternatives are to reappoint Mr. Hitz, or you may reappoint another person to the Planning Commission, or you can leave the vacancy and solicit interest in serving on the Planning Commission.
Maybe we need to ask Vicki Gurman for a recommendation here before we take this up, but in the meantime, I would entertain a motion. Thank you.
I'll move that we appoint Leonard Hitz retroactively, since he's been serving.
Second.
I know Carol called me after this was all up and asked me if that's on. But anyway, I don't know where it fell in through the cracks and all, but I do remember Carol calling me. I do believe in your bylaws, and I don't have them before me, but it says that in the instance if the county commission forgets to reappoint you, your term continues on until some action's taken. It's worded a little more diplomatically than that, but your term does extend until you're replaced. So, with that, all those in favor of appointing Leonard retroactively to the Planning Commission say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda, we're going to ask our county council to lead the effort. As she gets ready to lead, I'll tell you that we had a request after the the Pierceville Huber issue came up. I had a request from Vicki for us to consider raising our number of Board of Zoning Appeal members from 3 to 5. And so Linda has done the history on that and drawn up a resolution that we can have a discussion, so go right ahead.
Yes, as you've stated, I prepared a resolution for your consideration. I don't have any recommendation with regard to the pros and cons of the 3 members versus the 5, but the statute certainly allows us to do that. And our zoning regulations certainly allow for the expansion of that, so I guess that's your decision. Alicia may actually have more, and of course, Vicky and Leonard, I would assume, probably have some insight into the pros and cons of doing that I wouldn't have.
Let's invite them one at a time to come to the microphone if they would like and share their views. Vicki?
Good morning, Vicki Gurman. I did bring this topic up. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've talked to Alicia and Carol a while back about the fact that all of the other BZAs have 5 members and we only have 3. It hasn't been an issue, but I think there are some things coming up that it really could be an issue. If one of us has to be absent for any reason, we can't take a vote with only having 3. I mean, I guess we could, but it would be probably not always fruitful. And I know there are some cases coming up where at least one of us would have to be recused. So I just feel like it would be better to have the 5 more opinions, I guess, on our board, and also to be prepared in the case that one of us would have to be gone. So thanks for your consideration.
Vicki? As Leonard comes up, I'd like to remind us all that this has happened in the past before this board sat in membership. We had a person who had a medical reason to not attend, and we had a board member who had a direct conflict, had to recuse himself, and consequently the Board of Zoning Appeals could not act. And at that point, one of them that had to recuse himself withdrew his membership when we appointed a replacement. Do you remember? So it's happened in the past. So Leonard?
Well, as Vicki said, we work well together, and I respect her and I respect her opinions, but I happen to be on the other side of where she is. And the one time that we have a high-profile conditional use permit request that passed on a vote of 2 to 1, now we're coming up and saying we need to change the membership from 3 to 5. One complaint, one time, and I know that there will be arguments about this, but that's not sufficient reason to change it. All of the things that we take into consideration when we are approving or disapproving a conditional use permit are set up with subjective ideas that we have to abide by. We have to look at each one of those. And I could argue on each side of each one of those things that were set out. For example, property value. We're supposed to, there's no factual information proving yes or no on any of these that are set there in front of us. We're to consider the merit of each in each case. And that then eventually becomes a matter of a personal opinion, but is still the responsibility of the appeals board to do their due diligence. And I'm going to say, for example, property value. Usually there is no hard facts that prove or disapprove that it will or will not affect property value, and it usually ends up being a personal opinion. I was told by one commissioner that I may have done a couple of things differently, but I respect the process and the decision that was made. But once the vote has been taken, the Board of Commissioners really need to back the decision of the Appeals Committee. There's no guarantee that a 5-member board would be more likely to find decisions than a 3-member board. Nor is there any proof that a 5-member board will be more fair than a 3-member board. The system has worked for quite a while, and the issue of Huber Sand request for a conditional use permit came up, and I did sense in that some bias by some different commissioners. A 3-member board is less likely to be swayed by partisan influence. I'm going to go back when in our federal government, when the Supreme Court found in favor of the Texas bill on abortion, Congresswoman AOC said this is the reason we need to pack the Supreme Court, to get the answers we want. Is that the reason to change the membership of the appeals board, to get the answers we want? With a 3-member board, there's less influence for outside influence. And I want to end with this. A camel, and I've told you this before, a camel is a horse designed by a committee. If we're on a 5-member board issuing conditions on a conditional use permit, you run the chance of having too many ridiculous, unnecessary conditions imposed on the applicant. That's not fair to the applicant. And I think a 3-member board is much more efficient.
Thank you, Leonard. Now, anyone else from the audience before I turn to the board here? I know Dwayne wants to speak to this topic. He happens to have a little experience on that Board of Zoning Appeals, so Dwayne?
Better put the clock on me.
Now,
No? All right.
I'm being gracious to you.
As you all know, I spent 7 or 8 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals myself. And my very first meeting, we had a high-profile case that one of our members had to excuse himself from the decision. However, I feel the remaining 2 of us made that correct decision. So it does happen that somebody has to step aside on a decision. If it ever wound up in a tie vote, I think you got a problem. But the only other time we had a split decision was a high-profile case, and went out just fine. I mean, I was actually on the losing end of that. I voted yes, they voted no. But I truly believe, first off, that as a county commissioner, I am fully going to support the Zoning Board of Appeals decisions, as well as I would of any other advisory committee that we have out there. We have, this community, between the churches and all the advisory committees for the city and county, we have quite a number of people involved in local issues that are not out there for money, praise, or glory. They're out there because they love this community, and they're going to do the best decisions they can make. So I, for one, am not going to ever challenge a decision that committee brings before the county commission. These folks do the best they can, and they do it for the right reasons. Back to this issue, I really do not think a 5-member board will make any better decisions than a 3. Very rarely are you going to have a conflict that cannot be solved by the 2 commissioners, or 2 advisory members in this case. I do not believe, I like Leonard's reference to packing the Supreme Court. You know, we as a county commission have had several 3-2 votes, several 2-3 votes. That doesn't mean we need to go to 7 county commissioners to make it a better decision. And so I, for one, am very much in favor of leaving this as a 3-member advisory board.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Any other commissioners?
I think there's a misunderstanding about why this was brought before you. I have been talking about this for a long time. It has nothing to do with the vote that was just taken, the case that was just before us. Timing is coincidental. I brought this up before the neighborhood and development staff multiple times. There is a possible case coming before us when I, as a Realtor, am going to have to recuse myself, and one of our other members is related to the party that may be bringing a case before us. That's been my concern, that there are going to be times when that comes up, and it may be more frequently with myself being a Realtor. I don't know. It has nothing to do with the fact of the vote that was just recently taken, or that 5 members might have a different outcome. That is not my purpose for doing this. The purpose is for the fact that if we have one person missing, then someone's case has to wait until we can all get together and come in. That was my only reason for doing it. I just want you to know it really didn't have anything to do with the last vote that was taken, or any other votes that are taken. We all do our due diligence. We all come to a conclusion based on our knowledge and experience and our interpretation of what it is that we're required to do. So that's the only reason that this was brought before you. It really doesn't have anything to do with this most recent case.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. Any other of the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, unless,
Go ahead, Lon.
I've got mixed reactions to expanding from 3 to 5. I very much respect what Dwayne has espoused. I respect what's been said by the 2 board members. From a practical standpoint, you know, having 5 makes sense if there's recusals or absences for emergencies and so forth. I do get that. And I do know it's been brought up before this last case. It was even questioned during the TP&L conditional use permit process by several people in the audience. Why are there only 3 making this decision? It's such an important decision. So I do know that this question has arisen prior to this. And I equated a little bit to maybe not apples to apples necessarily or specifically, but to when this board was expanded from 3 to 5. There was a reason for doing that, and it expanded to 5, and I really like the fact that we have 5, because there have been a couple of times where 2 of us have been gone, but the other 3 can continue to do business on behalf of the county. So I see that that side of the equation as well. The other couple of things, absolutely, we need to support what other boards are doing on our behalf when we're appointing members to those boards, and I do support the process and the outcome. Even though I may have not have agreed with everything, all 3 members did their due diligence and did a lot of research and were diligent in the last case and have been in previous cases. It leads me to one other comment and a question. In policy governance, which Bill and I are both students of, the size of the board does not necessarily mean that you get better input. For example, John Carver, the author of Policy Governance, says the optimum size of a board is 7 to 9 people. Expanding it to 20 people doesn't mean you get better input or more input. You just develop your process within those 7 to 9 people on how to gather that information, and I absolutely agree with that. I don't think you expand board membership just to get a quorum, just to have a bigger board, and so forth. And then lastly, my question is this. We've already heard an example of where there may be recusals in an upcoming case that leaves only 1 member possibly. And I really don't like delaying projects because our mechanism, our process is not accommodating to them in a timely fashion. So is there some way to substitute, if you will, a board member when 1 or more have to recuse themselves on a particular case? I don't know whether that's practical. I'm probably going to turn to our county council, not for a specific answer right now, but I'm wondering whether there's a way to address, even with the 3-person board, the recusal, because we're in a small enough community, if you will, where there are recusals, there are conflicts, and they do absolutely need to step aside. So I'm wondering if we could address it by some amendment to the board makeup by substituting someone who has knowledge in the conditional use permit process, if you will. So that's my question that I would throw out there for consideration.
Thanks, Lon. Larry?
Well, I appreciate everybody's ideas and discussion on this viewpoint, but I think the one thing that sways my decision is I hate bureaucracy that slows down development. Anything that slows down business and commerce is just really bothers me. And so, you know, I know we had this problem when we were doing the conditional use on the feedlot because we had to find somebody else to take the position because they couldn't rule, and it just slows things down. So, you know, I really appreciate Leonard and Vicky's viewpoints on this, but I think I'm on the camp that 5's not an unruly number, and that gives you a little leeway when you come to folks being have conflicts with the subject. So I'm kind of in that camp right now.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm with Larry. I like the idea of being able to achieve quorum all the time, and I also like to maintain the integrity of the process. I think folks have been good about recusing themselves and will in the future, but you know, so many people are related to other families, and I just never want there to be the appearance of favoritism or something that was done because of relationships. So I think with the 5, you have a greater opportunity to recuse yourself and maintain the integrity of the process.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. On my screen, I see a resolution 16-2020. Oh, I'm sorry, Leonard?
I don't know the answer to this, and council probably have to tell you. But is there a way you could appoint alternate members to the board?
That's what's been asked, and
Okay.
And-
Well, if you guys would turn your microphones up so us, the guys that wear hearing aids, could hear you, I wouldn't speak out of turn like I have in the past. And so anyway, I would think that if we could have alternates, that would be a workable solution. And it's not an easy answer, but it would solve the problem of having a quorum.
okay, thank you. I guess I'm not so much personally in favor of the alternate theory in that they would go months without ever being called upon, and then all of a sudden you call upon them, you forgot who the alternate was, so, if,
Months without always having an appeals problem.
yeah, thanks. Okay, anything else, Lon?
I would just simply add, I'm wondering if this is an important enough issue that we need to have our county council see what that alternate or substitute mechanism might be, and then we really are making an informed decision whether it stays where it is at 3 or goes to 5. But I don't know that I'm making the best informed decision today, but I might be in 2 weeks.
I would point out that the City of Garden City and the City of Holcomb Board of Zoning Appeals are each 5. We're the lone entity with a board of 3. So I would entertain a motion to either table, to accept, or to deny Resolution 16-2021.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we table this for 2 weeks and ask our county council to research the substitute or alternate theory.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor of tabling this for 2 weeks, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Nay. Okay, that motion fails. Let's try this again. I have on my screen Resolution 16-2021, raising the Board of Zoning Appeals membership from 3 to 5. I'd entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'll move to approve Resolution 16, 2021.
Second.
Have a motion second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
That carries 3 to 2. This is kind of like the vote that you folks went through, Vicki, but thanks for your input. We appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that a caveat be added to my vote, that it's because I don't believe we had enough information.
Okay. All right.
Percentage.
See you, Leonard. Administrator Robert Reese, a resolution concluding severe weather, whatever, and I see Steve Green in the audience. He's busy in a side discussion, but the floor is yours.
Sorry, we were just discussing the formality of your going from 3 to 5, so. Let's see, we do have a resolution in front of you that, we had passed a declaration back in February, I believe, and Steve is here. Steve, would you mind coming up and talk just very briefly about that? In essence, what we're proposing is a resolution that, in essence, ends this, cold weather, declaration. Steve, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for a minute of your time and your service. Basically, we were approached by the city to declare a resolution in support of some cost recovery opportunities for the severe weather we experienced back in February. Since that time, the state came out and said there was no opportunity to recover those costs. So due to that, we let that ride for a little while, hoping there would be some federal support, which there was none. That's what we're asking to you to rescind that resolution at this time. There's really no need to keep it out there and open on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we rescind Resolution 13-2021.
Actually, we're not rescinding the resolution, we are.
Canceling it?
We're concluding the emergency.
Okay.
That was called by that prior resolution.
102 degrees Friday, that probably concludes it.
That was well stated, Larry. You did well. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a second from Dwayne. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Guess I'm next, is
You
in
have,
regards to LEPC
LEPC.
bylaws.
Bylaws.
Yes, sir. Basically what this is some house cleaning by the state. Due to the pandemic, they've been a little behind the 8 ball. So recently they've assigned an individual to really address some of the housekeeping and the paperwork required to support a LEPC statewide at the various counties. So we're asking you for a signature to approve per protocol our LEPC bylaws. Our LEPC is active. We are engaged. We are doing our meetings on 3 times a year. Commissioner Dave's been part of those meetings. We're reaching out, looking for some grant opportunities, support that initiative to build our competency levels at the various entities relative to the LEPC positions. We're engaged with our city airport, working on gonna assist them in coordinating a practical emergency disaster next year. So, we are crossing the Ts and dotting the Is on our side, but the state's a little behind the 8 ball due to the pandemic. So we're asking you to approve this per protocol, and we continue to move forward with the LEPC committee.
And I'm going to echo his comments. They have a very active group, and in fact, the chairperson is an employee at St. Catherine's.
Yes, sir.
And so they're deeply involved. But industry, when you attend their meetings, industry is pretty well represented, those that hold the chemicals and things in their backyard. So this concept, I'll just point out, Sarah Title II happened because of Bhopal, India, 1984. Took Congress a while to get around. 1986 passed Sarah Title III. That's what Steve's here talking about, that said every community had to have a disaster plan in place. And every state had to have, in those days, a state committee. That's changed names a couple times, but if they did not, then the governor would suddenly be a committee. And every county in the United States had to have a local emergency planning committee. And if they did not, the county commission suddenly became the planning committee. So it didn't take long in 1988 for Finney County to decide we need an LEPC. And so They're bringing you up to date. But we appreciate everybody's service. That's a good group, so.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I'd entertain a motion.
Question.
Yeah.
First off, this is simply is there any rewrite to this, or is this simply a reapproval of the existing bylaws? Is there rewrites in this?
We haven't done a rewrite on it. As stated, this is, we're trying to do some house cleaning and catch up for the state. They got a new individual that's overseeing this and driving this in Topeka. And so we're kind of getting caught up. Now, take into account, this is the 2020 bylaws, because as stated, we're trying to catch up. So we're gonna come forward with the 2021 as needed. There's potentially, we could critique it somehow then and update it. So it is a live document as we progress.
I'll finish Steve's thought here just a little bit. That's just to be reviewed annually.
Yes, sir.
And that's where he's saying they've been a bit behind, but they're trying to get caught up with the annual review. And the plan needs to be tested with an exercise annually, so.
Yeah, that's one thing we're doing. Like as stated, the Garden City Airport, Rochelle's having a hands-on exercise. We're going to assist her in building some of those, that critique or that exercise, basically. And then we'd be participating in the critique afterwards as a requirement. So develop action items, assign those and drive those to closures to enhance our capabilities.
Okay, any questions? Are we ready for a motion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I very much respect what Steve's saying, that this is for 2020. But the last thing in bold print says adopted at the regular meeting of the LEPC on the 10th day of November in 2020. And then we did a retroactive board appointment a little bit ago. And it seems like we're doing a lot of things in the past, and I respect what he's saying about the person's been appointed and Topeka and behind and all that stuff, but it hasn't been adopted at a meeting in November of 2020.
That's true, Lon. However, what the LAPC is actually doing in plain terms, they're nominating membership, and the folks in Topeka appoint the membership, and they approve the final version of the bylaws. So we can blame Topeka again. You're being a little behind.
I guess I'm a little bit of a stickler as far as we do things on the days that it says in the document, and this is not being done. But I don't have a disagreement with the document being needed. But
Is that something we need to go in and readdress and, look at those dates? And,
I'm just one of five, but I think it needs to coincide with, we're here in September of 2021.
yeah, I can reach out to the gentleman at the state and see if that's a requirement. As stated, they're really behind the eight ball. They weren't really pursuing this. On our side, we were having our meetings, we were engaged, and we were submitting our sign-up sheets to them on a required basis. So either way, I can reach out and we can tweak that. We are behind the submittal date due to them being late, and I've pushed it up, to our commission meeting schedule due to that reason.
Point of fact, though, whether this is 2020 or 2021, this is a set of bylaws you're acting under.
Yes, sir.
And so we can discuss dates, or we can put this off, or we can pass it.
Yeah, I'm with Lon. All of us lost 18 months of our lives here through the pandemic, and to go back and paper that over seems like a useless exercise. I'd rather it be an active, current, viable 2021 document.
Sure.
If you want my vote on this, that's where I'm at.
Steve, can you contact KDM and in the next 2 weeks, see about altering the date on this with their approval and bring it back?
Yeah, I will. I would ask if it's possible if we change the date to 2021, because it only requires one signature. Can we expedite that process, or do we need to run it through another commission meeting?
So you're asking for a motion today that if they'll change the date, that the chairman be authorized to sign that so it's promulgated, is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just because we're so far behind the schedule due to the state, that we can at least, get this done and move forward to some other things we have on our slate.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I certainly don't have any difficulty with that at all, because the resolution itself doesn't reference the Board of County Commissioners. It references the LEPC adopting these bylaws. And that's my question, when were they adopted by the LEPC? And they're saying in November at a meeting, and I'm hearing that didn't happen. So certainly the authorizing our chairman to sign whenever that becomes official, but we're not approving the bylaws, according to this document, the LEPC is.
And those were communicated and accepted in one of our meetings. And I can, if that date's not exact, I can go back and look at those notes and,
Certainly,
There is,
my motion would be that we approve the signature of the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners once the date is resolved.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bring it back and we'll get it.
yes, sir.
Or just holler and I can come by and sign it, Steve.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Reese, Health Department Medical Director Agreement.
Yes, as you recall, the end of last month, or maybe it was September 2nd, perhaps, our current, previous medical director's term, was in essence expired. And so Dana is here with the update on the interim, if you will, director.
I didn't see you back there. I apologize to you. We need to get a little,
Short people. So yes, just here to present the new agreement for the medical director. Dr. Jackson will be our medical director on a month-by-month basis. He is a temporary medical director. He will do that until we find a more permanent solution.
so what action needs to be taken to get Dr. Jackson appointed?
Well, you'll need to authorize the chairman to enter into an agreement for Dr. Jackson to serve as the director, very similar to what you did with the prior doctor.
And, Mr. Chairman, I would so move with one addition, and that is, as Dana has correctly said, on a month-to-month consultation contract.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second,
I'll second.
and we have any discussion? Bill?
Yes, Dana, is there any requirement for individuals associated with the health department to be vaccinated?
Currently, there are not any requirements.
And what's your percentage of vaccinated people?
Staff,
Yeah,
we have 2 unvaccinated staff at the health department.
and has there been an inquiry of Dr. Jackson as to his status, since he represents the health department and, the need to promote vaccination?
At the moment, we haven't discussed it, but he is in the line of vaccines. We haven't in deep, thorough discussed what he would like to do for the health department as per se a requirement or not requirement for the staff to be vaccinated.
But we're not appointing someone who might be anti-vaccine, as far as you know.
No, I don't believe so. No.
And I do think, I'm supportive of this, and I like Mike a lot, but I think you should clarify that. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions before we take the vote. You're on the vaccinations. You can now vaccinate anybody over age 12 in the county, is that correct?
That is correct.
And the hospital count, I haven't seen it for a couple of days, what, about 16?
Hospitalized?
With the COVID cases at St. Catherine, what's the number?
As of Friday, it was 16
16.
hospitalized.
And I'm understanding that those 16, the majority, if not all, were unvaccinated, is that?
Yes, the majority, I think there was maybe one that is vaccinated. They're, you know, the ICU versus hospitalized. This one vaccinated was not in ICU.
Seems to me like the public would demand that you be lined up somewhere to start vaccinating every kid over age 12 and get them vaccinated. I don't understand the hesitancy, but then
I think you are going into the schools, or you did on Friday, or when is that?
Yes, we were at Garden City High School on Friday, offering vaccinations to anybody over the age of 12 and up.
Yeah, so I appreciate you doing that as well. And I would like to say I met with Jeff Carrier, the hospital CEO, last week, and across the Centura system, which is 15 or 16 hospitals, 90% plus of the people in with COVID are unvaccinated. So it is absolutely an epidemic of the unvaccinated. And my personal experience with employees who are not vaccinated they are the ones now going out with COVID.
Yes, that is correct. That's what we've seen. The unvaccinated have a higher disease process where they're a lot more symptomatic. They are a lot more ill and tend to be the ones that are hospitalized.
okay. Any other discussion? We need to take a vote here on appointing Dr. Jackson.
I'll move to appoint Dr. Mike Jackson on a month-to-month basis as the Health Department Medical Director.
Motion.
We had the motion. We didn't have a second, though.
We did, Lon and Dwayne.
Okay, now we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Now, hang on a little bit, folks, here. I've got a stack of things here to sign, and then we can get on.
You kept multitask, sir?
Yeah. All righty. Larry, you are all ready to go here and tell us about a gravel trailer, right?
Yep, I have several items for you actually this morning. The first one is bids for a 2021 belly dump gravel trailer. Public Works is replacing a 2002 North Cut gravel trailer with 519,000 miles that was tracked on our daily sheets. We opened bids on August 24th. We received bids from Irwin Trailer Company for $37,245 with 8 weeks delivery time. Trucktown of Colby, Kansas, $39,050, and it is in stock. And Bruckner's at $46,255. Delivery date would be October of 2021. The recommendations, I did share the bid openings with our Public Works supervisor and the shop supervisor, get their opinion, a little bit more of their wheelhouse on the equipment. They're recommending 2022 Armor Light trailer sold by Irwin Trailer Company of Meeker, Oklahoma. recommended by shop supervisor based on meeting minimum specs and the low bid. It was actually, the specs were the width that we had spec'd, other trailers were a little narrower. And it happened to be the low bid, so.
Your recommendation.
Merwin trailer.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go with the recommendation for the Irwin trailer.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved.
Second item I have this morning is for Finney County Public Works is replacing a Western Star truck sold in 2018 due to mechanical issues. We opened bids on August 24th from two vendors, Dodge City International at $119,965.85. Peterbilt at $137,425. Those are the two alternates. Delivery date for the International, they show 175 days from order date. For the Peterbilt, late spring, early summer of 2022. The main difference that we've seen in the two bids, we spec'd 450 Cummins engines. That's what the International is spec'd. Peterbilt spec'd a 470 Cummins. Our recommendation is to accept the low bid from Dodge City International for the International HX 520. Fiscal impact, $119,965.85 as budgeted in the Road and Bridge 2021 budget.
You have plenty of budget authority, budget money.
Yes.
Motion?
Question.
Yeah.
What kind of resale value you think the two trucks will have?
That is this discussion I did have with the shop supervisor. He did mention that he liked the Peterbilt a little better for parts availability. The local shop here has a Cummins mechanic, certified mechanic, as well as resale. So, I mean, those were things that we did talk about, but with the price difference, I thought I would put both options on there and let you guys make that decision for us.
What do you think, Dwayne?
You're right on the resale, but
About $17,000.
$17,000 difference.
it should be about the same on the backside as well, though.
Just a question.
It's not a motion, that's a question.
I'll make the motion. I move we approve the bid for the International, Dodge City International.
I'll second it.
You second it? Okay, all those, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That carries.
Third item I have this morning, Finney County Public Works opened bids for the 2021 crack sealing project. The county will be sealing approximately 40 miles of asphalt roads this fall. Sealed bid requests were sent to 3 contractors. Received a bid from B&H Paving of Scott City, Kansas, $124,200. Did not receive a bid from Hefton Sons or APAC of Kansas. The background, the county began contracting county projects in 2020 due to a smaller workforce. Our alternatives are to approve B&H paving bid. Our recommendation is to approve B&H paving. Only bid received and good working relationship in crack sealing last year, as well as doing our chip sealing for the last 5 years. Really good job. They've done a really good job, and we've had a good working relationship with them. They did bid $1.38 a pound times 90,000 pounds of crack seal. That's how we pay by the pound as a unit price.
You've used them for a long time, isn't that also the company that does the city of Garden City Street?
Yes,
So they're pretty well known.
pretty well known. They do a really good job. They're fast.
$1.38, how does that compare to the past?
Last year, the only other year they crack sealed, it was $1.25 last year. I had estimated probably about $1.31 is what I was thinking, and they came in at $1.38.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Move to approve the acceptance of the bid from B&H Paving.
Restate that, would you please, Bill?
I'll move to approve the B&H Paving bid.
Second?
Motion and second, discussion?
Yes, and Mr. Kreitzer's here, who's a constituent of mine, and he can be a witness. All 90,000 pounds of this might go into 2 of the cracks in Southwind.
We are scheduled to be there. We actually had Mike Hess come out, kind of consult a little bit on how to handle that. That is, we're gonna hope to remedy that problem out there this year.
Yeah, it'll take more than crack sealing, I'm
Oh, yeah,
sure.
yeah, we're gonna go back after and do some work ourselves, but, yeah.
Thanks for your concern. We'll be watching.
Child fall in 'em.
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? You're just really spending the money. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. I have my last item here. This is a Butte. Okay, Finney County Public Works opened bids for 2 Super Cab 3/4 ton pickups and 1 Crew Cab 3/4 ton pickup. We received 2 bids from Burtis Motor Company, which later retracted their bid, and Shawnee Mission Ford. Background, we will be replacing a pickup from each of the following departments: the sign department, the utility department, and road and bridge. These pickups are high in mileage and have been having mechanical issues. Alternatives are to order from Shawnee Mission Ford. Number 2, rescind the bids. Our recommendation is to accept the bids from Shawnee Mission Ford for a total of $97,447 to include 2 Super Cab 3/4 ton pickups at $31,960 each and 1 Crew Cab 3/4 ton at $33,527. Total fiscal impact of $97,477 currently budgeted in the 2021 road and bridge budget. I received an email from Burtis Motor Company on, it said that Ford has ended fleet orders on 2022 Super Duties as of 8/13, and we were not notified until today. The bid that I sent will not be able to be honored. We called Shawnee Mission Ford. They said they could honor their bids till November, and those pickups are about 11 months out.
And they have enough computer chips to get them out here?
11 months out.
You know, you drive, it's sad. You drive by the dealerships and their car lots are empty, so, all right.
Question, did you open the bids before Burtis notified you they couldn't accept the bid, or was it?
Yes, we opened it before. This was sent, this email was sent to me on August the 18th. So yes, they did send it to me after. That's when we called, and that's why we called the other dealer. Wasn't sure, wanted to make sure they could get the pickups, and they claim they can till November.
I went by Burtis a couple days ago, and the only new vehicle sitting in front of the showroom was a Bronco. I mean, it's just empty over there.
Yeah, there's nothing over there.
Dwayne, you have
Just define high mileage on your pickups.
The signed pickup is 200,000 miles. The utility pickup, I'm gonna guess, I think it's probably about 180, and I'm not sure on the road and bridge pickup.
My gentleman's pickup has 218, just so you know.
Right, yeah, we run at least the sign and the utility and the engineering pickups, the departments I've worked in, we run them about 200,000 miles.
Thank you.
The one pickup that we're getting for utilities, the engineering pickup is actually gonna be moved to the sign department. It's probably about a 100,000 mile pickup, but we're gonna keep running it.
I like it. Thank you.
Okay, we entertain a motion on pickups.
I move we approve the bid for the 3 pickups from, where's that bid? Shawnee Mission?
Shawnee Mission.
Second? Second. Got all kinds of seconds. Let's give Larry the second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? You're doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Dries, I see that we're going to discuss a delegate to vote.
Needed voting delegate for the KAC meeting, and to date, I believe Commissioner Finney is the only one signed up for that conference. Is that correct?
From this board, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move we nominate Lon Finney as our voting delegate and official rep.
Second.
What kind of sales pitch is he giving?
I don't know.
I will be
Got
there.
15 minutes?
I plan to be there.
You'll be there.
Good enough for me.
That's good
I
enough
have
for
a
me.
vote for Lon for a nominee. Is there a second?
I second it.
All right. All those in favor of appointing Lon as our voting delegate, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I guess you just got elected, Lon.
And just for the record, that Monday is a county commission meeting that I will be absent.
They normally request an alternate as well, and I don't know if you have an alternate.
I know that Maria usually goes. The county appraiser, Maria, usually goes to that conference, and she's typically the alternate in the past. So we can check with her. You want to make?
I guess
We didn't check
back
with
the other
Lon.
way. I'm sorry. Pass those to Dory, please. All righty. County Administrator report time.
All right. Busy past few weeks, mostly working on the budget, getting it to a point that the commission was looking for, reviewed, financing debt, refinancing debt. We had a brief presentation with the fiscal committee on refinancing a couple of debt issuance, take advantage of low interest rates. So we're still in that process. Finalize a listing of projects for the ARPA funds. We'll get that sent off to Jeff's group and begin the process. The final determination from the Treasury has not been sent out yet, so there's still a little bit of things in flux on what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. Once again, during the budgeting process, we're in the we're looking at various financial policies, trying to participate in the KEC's weekly Zoom meetings on ARPA funds, and in the process of finalizing the interview process for the health department director, and I believe we have that set up for the 20th. We may have Kelly address a little bit more about the detail of that if she has anything else on that. And then we'll begin the process on setting up interviews for Public Works Director, where we'll have probably a couple of commissioners involved in that Public Works Director interview process. The job notice for the county engineer has lapsed. I believe it was posted for 90 days or more with no applicants at all. So we've moved on to a director, and that's not uncommon across the state of Kansas on finding a county engineer. So. Kelly, I don't know if you have anything else to offer on the Health Department Director interview process or not at this time?
No, not much. Both have confirmed that they will be here on the 20th for us at 8 a.m., but I don't have much more for that day lined up yet.
So those will be following our regular meeting that day, is that what we're saying?
That's correct, and you can meet with them in executive session on some interviewing processes, and plus we have tours that we're setting up, and they'll spend some time with some of the various directors in the county. Okay.
Anything else, Robert? I got out of order, and I apologize, Linda. You're supposed to be before Robert, but on the agenda, but it's now your turn.
Just as far as things that we have discussed that you all need to be aware of, I think it's, at one point we discussed, the surveyor review position. And just with regard to my research, that is a statutory requirement that there be a survey reviewer. So I don't think the commission has the ability to do away with that position. It's required, so.
And neighborhood development really desires that we keep one.
They do, yeah, absolutely. That's been my conversation with them as well. But it's statutory, so it's not even something we can consider. And then as far as anything else we need to discuss, probably will be in executive session, so.
Okay, that's it?
I think so, unless you have something specific.
Anybody have anything that you want to?
Well, I'm a little bit puzzled, I guess, because I don't know what the executive session topic is. And the attorneys were in public session with us in public comment, the meeting that you were absent. And one of the things that I understood from that is that you would have discussions with those attorneys. And has that taken place? Or, because they were filing a case in court on that Friday, but they were supposed to be discussing things with you as well. So I just wanted to make sure that that process had taken place.
Patrick, I believe is his name, from Stinson, has been emailing me, but without your direction, I can't make any decisions with regard to that. They have, of course, filed suit, as you're aware of, but, you know, I work for you, and so with regard to any decisions that need to be made, that's a conversation to be had with you all.
Yeah, but there have been those conversations because that was the way we left it, that they were to communicate with you or you with them.
Right, but I don't have any parameters
Right.
for accepting
No,
anything, so.
I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just confirming the
Yes, sir.
conversation.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Larry?
The only thing I've got to report, in the housing survey, hopefully this is got to be, they've got projects out there, maybe has to give some protections to the housing. We're woefully understaffed at the house.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Bill?
I was with Larry at Hokum at the chat survey meeting. It was quite interesting. Attended the economic development meeting. I met with our lobbyists from KLPG, Doug Smith and John Pinniger. They were out here on city business in anticipation of our meeting on the 17th, dinner on the 16th. I think you all are aware of that meeting. Heard about the Southwind Roads Compass Mental Health meeting. I'm curious about a Jenny Barker Road ceremony. Is there any ongoing discussion with the city that we might at some point celebrate our success? I know it's. Okay. And it may be just something, we're busy and we've moved on, but for me, it's something I campaigned on, so I'd like to celebrate it. And on the ARPA fund designation, I certainly would like to have county commissioner input. Is there a planned meeting for us before you go forward with that information to our consultant?
Once we get finalized, you had asked that we accumulate some of the various projects and initiatives here within the county. So once we get that finalized, you'll take a look at that, and we can move forward then in that regards.
Okay, and so we're waiting on federal interpretation or?
Correct.
Okay, good. That's all I have.
That's it. Dwayne?
Usual road calls. Usually don't talk about those because they're every month. I did attend the housing survey, as you fellows did as well. Great Plains Development, we had our monthly meeting. Seems like we are having quite a few multi-million-dollar projects that they're also approaching Great Plains about, which kind of strikes strikes me as a little bit odd, because I mean, we're talking $15 million projects, and they're coming to Great Plains for part of their money, kind of references like our $125,000 loan when you got the bigger project, while you're dribbling down here to the little monies. But it's kind of a bit of a concern for me, but other than that, Great Plains is doing quite well right at this moment.
That's it. Lon?
No meetings to report, other than I was also in attendance at one of the chat meetings with regard to the housing, and looking forward to KLPG coming to Garden and KAC in the future.
Okay. I had a list and I'll kind of hurry through them. Finney County Committee on Aging, regular meeting, and then they had a special meeting where they accepted the resignation of the director. You're aware of that, I'm sure. Planning Commission I attended, and also a meeting, and I'm going to just mention it because we're going to go into a work session here a little bit. IMA it was a productive meeting with IMA representatives and Blue Cross Blue Shield, along with county staff, to learn about some alternatives here for health insurance. And I see Marilyn back there. She's going to be part of that discussion a little bit. So I was an assessor on the neighborhood development planner program, trying to find a planner. I'm going to make a comment here. One that was real interesting, Vicki was there, was a young lady who 5 years ago moved to the United States from China to learn how to speak English. And she moved to Tempe, Arizona, and got a bachelor's degree in planning and then a master's degree. And she speaks pretty doggone good English, right, Vicki? With a great sense of humor. But when she was taking English as a second language course, trying to learn English, there was another student, and he was from Sicily, and he couldn't speak English, and he couldn't speak Chinese. She couldn't speak whatever but they got together, and they're now husband and wife. And so they have interesting discussions around their dinner table, and you have to decide what language is going to be. It was an enjoyable day. I also want to point out that one of the assessors was a architect now that was part of the group that took over Gibson, GMCN, whatever, Carmichael, the old architectural firm has new folks, and Jared Hoffman is one of those. And we over lunch sitting there visiting about upcoming county projects like a health center and a EMS facility, and I mentioned to him that one of our first things we need to do is have an in-depth study about our needs of that building before we design it. And so he said, let me show you something on a computer program he had, and I'm sure every architect in the world now has this, but you sit down with folks and you start asking some real simple questions about their work, and a little bit that thing starts designing office space, and a little bit you push the buttons and it designs a building, and then it paints a portrait, because that was what I'd asked for, was some kind of a artist's conception of a building to help get everybody behind a vision, to capture a vision. And so I told him we'd probably have to go out for proposals before we hired an architect, but it's interesting to know what's out there. And I'm going to suggest that as a commission, fairly soon on, we might want to start that process and kind of see what the needs are for a building. On the housing study meeting I attended, I then had a call from a reporter for the Topeka Daily Capital, or Gannett, and he wanted to know how Finney County was going to spend the next appropriation of the $7.5 million. And I'm going to just say that essentially I told him we'd identified some wastewater projects that we think we know that fits into the allowables. But in the meantime, we're waiting for a whole lot of rules to come through before we can make final determinations. So it'll be interesting to see what his article is. He was surveying several counties. And finally, John Penniger called, and I mentioned this as our meeting started this morning. KLPG annual conference is going to be in Garden City, Kansas on September 16 and 17. And on the 16th is their banquet starting at 5 o'clock, or the happy hour, and then banquet at 6. And he kind of needs to know how many folks from Finney County are going to be there. So I'm going to survey us and then ask Dory maybe to contact KLPG with the numbers. So,
I've already told Doug Smith that.
yeah, he had long all the way down, but he didn't. And I called Robert. They would like to have Robert there to get acquainted, and also the guest speaker that night is U.S. Congressman somebody. Can't remember who it was now, but
Well, what kind of report is that?
what
Yeah.
had too many things going on.
All going, yeah.
Everybody.
The last time they were in Garden City, Bob Dole was the speaker. So,
I wish the spam calls would go away.
You know what?
so I don't know, you know who the congressman is?
Man,
Oh, is it Tracy? Okay,
playing around.
Tracy Mann.
okay.
I didn't want to state that.
He's our congressman.
Yeah, okay, he's our congressman. All right. So with that, no more commissioner reports. I see that we have a couple executive sessions. And who do we want to do legal consultation first? So that would be the commission, Robert, Linda. Is that it? Yes. And how much time do we need?
You had Kelly Munyon on the memo. Well, that shows on the legal, it shows on the legal session.
That's a misspeak, she's not.
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
I need how much time? 15?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to executive session. Purposes of legal consultation include Robert and Linda Loebmeyer, as well as the commission, for 15 minutes with no decisions to be made.
And we shall return here no later than 5 minutes after 10 o'clock.
It's kind of quick. How about 15?
Wait a minute, I'm looking at a clock back there. Well,
We're going.
7
by
minutes
that
out
one.
here, I'll go to the
Use the
official.
computer screen, sir.
We'll be back in 15 minutes. So, all those in favor of that, say aye.
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 busy. She can hear.
Lori, we're back in regular session, no action taken, and we need a motion to go into executive session for personnel. 10 minutes. 10 minutes to include the county commission, the county council, the county administrator, the undersheriff.
Well, it only said the county administrator on our memo.
That's for you guys
So-
to do because I don't know who you want to include.
Well, so I mean, I just need to make sure we're, no, I know, but I mean, I want to make sure that we're doing this for this particular session.
And we need Kelly. Got everybody? I need a motion. For 10 minutes. Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, away we go. Regular session, no action taken. And we do have a quorum, so we can adjourn this meeting and reconvene back there in work session. So with that, I'll adjourn and we'll